Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, I'm going to try to give y'all some positive. I'm going to try to put a positive spin on what 2K has done today with the content and what Season 7 looks like in general, and just the future of MyTEAM as a whole, where it looks like the vast majority of the best cards in the game are going to be kept behind either very expensive grinds or as extremely unbelievably rare cards in packs that are only going to be attainable to players who spend a ton of money. And so with that being said, I don't think that 2K did a spectacular job by any means with Season 7. I've made that very, very clear in these videos. It's frustrating. I get it. I'm frustrated by it. Y'all are frustrated by it. Paul George even being the first invincible you can earn for free, and he stinks. And his Pro Pass version, which isn't free, still stinks. You know what I mean? It sucks. And like, you look at the cards, the invincibles are so extremely rare. There's one Shack on the auction house. It is 1247. Those packs have been out for 2 hours. One LaMelo and one Shack on the auction house. The cards are extremely rare. They're extremely expensive. I mean, the cheapest invincible in the game is probably Dr. J, who's still, I do believe, over 2 million MT. There's literally one or two of every single invincible on the auction house, basically. It's absolutely insane how rare they are. And even the very best 100 overalls are really the same exact story. 100 overall Ben Simmons, card is 3 million MT. 100 overall Yao Ming, card is 5 million MT. That's what he's been. Like, it's just, the cards are not attainable. I get it. It's frustrating. But the one positive is I think the community as a whole is really waking up to it. And I already think the amount of people who truly have been able to get cards such as Invincible Kevin Durant and Invincible Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jokic, or the Invincibles from packs and like the most expensive 100 overalls like Ben Simmons, Yao Ming, stuff like that. There's just not that many of them. And there really aren't that many of them of people who have teams like some of the teams that you may see me use in my videos at times, like Tricky's team, Cabrillo's team, Crash's team, guys like that who have used their video accounts in different videos. You're not going to see very many accounts like that. And I think you're even going to see less accounts like that, in all honesty, as time progresses, because more and more people are going to just be unwilling to spend money. And so what that is going to create, yes, to a certain extent, is people leaving the game, which might be good for change long term. It isn't awesome for content purposes. But like, in general, I do think it might be pretty necessary for things to change. But for those of us who do continue to play the game and want to look for positives, I mean, I'm a content creator on this game. I can't just afford to just stop playing it entirely despite its problems. So the positive is those cards are just not going to be all that common to play against. And even when you do play against them, it'll generally be one of them, maybe two. You're not going to run into Jokic. You're not going to run into Yao. You're not going to run into Invincible Shaq. You're not going to run into Invincible Giannis or KD or guys like that all that much. And even when you do, sometimes a lot of people who have them are going to suck. They're just going to have the best cards in the game, but they're not going to be that good at the game. So if you are not playing Tier 1 Showdown, I don't think you're going to run into those cards that much. Maybe in Triple Threat Park, sometimes you will. But if you have a good team, especially with Triple Threat Park not really being an off-ball mode, at least especially when you're playing co-op, that's not an issue. Offline, this doesn't matter. You can use any cards, the like just half-decent cards in the game, to win successfully on offline and consistently, unless you're playing on the hardest difficulty. And even then, still probably feel like you could most of the time. Like, at the end of the day, this doesn't actually, I don't think, have as dramatic of an effect on the game as people feel like it does. And I understand the feeling of, I can't get the 100 overalls anymore. I definitely can't get the invincibles anymore. That really sucks. And the frustration that comes along with it, because it's something that I also experienced to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Is the inability to get the best cards in the game, especially the cards that I really want, is frustrating. Like, really want LeBron. I would love to have this card. In previous 2Ks before last year, I would have been able to get him. Last year, I wouldn't have been able to get him, and that sucked. But this year, I kind of can't anyway at this point either. I feel like this year, despite not being gambling only the way that last year was, it is still so expensive at this point. It's just as bad as last year. I think it really has reached that point. And what we're getting now is a point in time where I basically just have to pretend that these top tier cards don't exist. And if I play against them occasionally, oh well. So be it. But I really think that is the mindset that we have to have, because if I can't get all the 100 overall cards and stuff like that, I'm not willing to spend the money on it. And you're in that same boat, whether you have the money to afford it or you don't. Either way, if you're not willing to do it or you're not able to do it, most other people aren't either. You know what I mean? And most people who have the ability to aren't choosing to, as well as the other thing. It's just so financially irresponsible at this point. So Like there's no shame in there's no shame in not spending $1,000 a month in a video game. As crazy of a statement as that is to say, I feel like sometimes that has to be said because people are so frustrated about not getting these cards. You're not going to get them and other people aren't either. You know what I mean? And that is fine. Nobody should spend $2,000 for Nikola Jokic, but that's how much he cost, realistically. That's insanity. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just kind of at the point with this game where it's like, it's very hard to truly justify spending any sort of money on the game at all. And with that being the case, I think that's true for a lot of other people too. And that means you're just gonna see less of these cards. And so playing the game, even online, is still not gonna be that bad in terms of pay to win in most of your games because you're not gonna play against that many people with these top tier cards. And hopefully, this may be unlikely, but hopefully enough people join together and stop spending. And maybe even 2K loses some of the whales. And then things could actually potentially improve because at the end of the day, they're a business and their goal is to make money. But I think a lot of people have bought HOF boxes. You know what I mean? And understandably so, especially when they first came out, when I would say they were a lot more worth it. When the events and the festivals were a lot more worth it. It made sense. But I think what happened was 2K saw how successful that was and were like, ooh, we can squeeze this for even more money. And so they did. They nerfed the MT method. They made the pieces harder and harder to get as the year progressed for these player upgrades and stuff. Like with Pink Diamond Shea, that was a hard card to get, but it was a couple $100. You know what I mean? It wasn't nearly as ridiculous as KD and Jokic and even some of the other guys since then have been. But like Magic Johnson was the second best card, arguably the best card in the All-Star Festival. And he was a card that you could get for free. You know what I mean? Like, just at the end of the day, things used to be pretty good with those things. They're just not anymore. The HOF boxes have not been good value the last couple times they've dropped them. If we as a community come together and don't spend, they're going to make things better because they want people's money. You know what I mean? And so I almost think it's a cycle. And yes, it gets worse by the year, 100%, but I do think it's a cycle. And I think if we don't reward them, they will do better things next year, at least at points. And then of course, when things are good, people will spend. And then things will be bad again. It's a vicious cycle. And honestly, they're just not going to be great the way they used to be ever again. That's the honest truth. Things are not going to change enough to be what it used to be in MyTEAM. And if you're looking for this utopia MyTEAM where it's the best game ever, that's never happening again. Let's be totally realistic here. Play the game when you want to play the game and have fun playing a basketball video game. When you're not having fun, or if you can't not spend money on it, in my opinion, just don't play it. You know what I mean? There are a lot of other games. There are a lot of other things to do in real life. Go outside, hang out with your friends, go to the gym, read a book, play in sports, do something, hang out with your family, like do different things and play another game. All these different things you can do that aren't playing MyTEAM. You won't miss it that much if you don't think you can play it without spending. That's my personal opinion, but I do think there is some positive there in that we're probably going to see less of these cards. And so that's going to produce, I think, a bit less frustration at times, despite the fact that the content itself sucks. But treat it like last year. Just ignore the cards that are unattainable and you can have some fun with it. I still believe that to be true. So I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.